Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. And, well, an ad just popped up for a Kickstarter of Love Esquire. Okay. Not sure if you guys can see that, but okay. That's a different kind of... I can't call it a jump scare, but it's like, what? I don't know. I don't know if you guys could see that there. But anyway, that's part 4 of the letter. So, yeah, so we're gonna load. No. Okay, we were in Isabel's bedroom, which is fine, because we're Isabel. My eyes snap open. For an instant, it doesn't immediately register where I am. But before my back and shoulders ache after I've fallen asleep, all hunched up the night before. Drenched in sweat, the nest of pillows I often keep around me feels more suffocating than comforting. I let my eyes adjust to the bright morning light streaming through the window and allow my breathing to slow down before untangling myself from the pile. I haven't had a single dream since coming to Luxborn, or at least none I can recall having. It's a shame because they used to be so vivid. Not the crazy vivid, but the more pleasant kind I'll tell my sibling about. Maybe it's just the stress of living alone. The knowledge that I'll always wake up in an empty apartment with no one to tell my stories to.
What time is it?
Habit forces me to look over the clock, even with the soreness weighing heavily on my shoulders, and the compulsion to never leave my bed for the day. In a heartbeat, I'm up.
Oh man, of all the times to oversleep! Towel? Where's my towel?
Admittedly, it's the weekend, as an unspoken rule that entitles me to an extra hours of sleep. But if Rose didn't kill me yesterday, she sure as hell will now. And right after what happened, oh Lord, 1 box of donuts as peace offering won't be enough the second time around. Grabbing my towel, I'm already a few short steps away from the bathroom when a muffled ringing breaks out from my bag. There is a moment of indecision, my mind conflicted whether I should ignore or answer it. I might cook some mashed potatoes here shortly. But what if it's Rose? Or worse, our boss? Ah, sheesh. In the end, the rational part of my brain wins out. The letter from yesterday peeks out when I pull the device out. Just the sight of it is enough to put me in a foul mood, and it takes every force of will for me to ignore it in favor of answering the call. Oh, it's your mom. The ID reader calls Mama.
Huh?
Wait, didn't she say her parents are dead? I don't know. It might be a different story. I probably shouldn't be reading multiple stories at a time. But I had fun with the crab fight game, and I recorded a part of 20XX. I don't know, right now I'm conflicted if I should try to work out. My knees and my elbows, mainly from work, hurt. I don't know. Everything's sore. It's around 4:45 in the Philippines right now. It's unusual time. Around noontime here, and I'm the one calling. Not the other way around, but for them to use that money on something else, then an international call, but I'm confused. Regardless, in the most cheerful tone I can gather.
Hello? Grace? How are you?
Mama! I'm doing okay. How are you guys over there?
We're good. EJ won a storytelling contest at school the other week. Brought
It
home a
reminds me,
medal.
I'm not really sure
I thought
what
you should
country
know.
this is. Like, is this supposed to be Japan? Or is it England? I don't know what part of the world this game is taking place in. If they mentioned, I don't remember. Ermengarde, I think, would be maybe a Welsh name? I'm not sure. Like, what part of the world is this happening? There's a tired lilt in her voice as she speaks. It's been there since Papa had to leave his job. I wish there's something I can do for her. But from miles away like this, least I'm able to do is not make her worry. If only my older brother would actually lend her a hand. But Lord knows if that'll ever happen. Odds are, Kuya Jordan's already out drinking right now. Again. I can't count on my older sister either, knowing she has a family of her own and, well, 8. Anne's financial situation. What? Having ran herself knee-deep in
Great!
debt.
That's great! Tell him congratulations from me. And let him know I'm gonna send him a little something extra this Christmas. How about Nico? Karen? Michael? I hope they're okay?
They're doing well. They wanted to talk to you, but they're all busy with school.
Oh no, that's
Those
fine.
must be younger
I don't
children.
want to bother them.
So that's
Just
6 or
Tell
7
them to
kids?
keep doing their best for me. I'll just call back when I know
I
they're
feel
not
like
busy.
most countries, particularly countries like America, Canada, England, Italy, Japan, I feel like the family sizes have gotten noticeably smaller. Like, if you look at any pictures, like, really, I know there's not very many pictures of people back in the past, but, like, there's things where like, people had, like, 20 kids. It's like, holy shit. And I know with the previous generations, it was usually common for most families to have, like, 6 children. But, I mean, most people my age tend to have either 1 or 2 children. I mean, I have 1, and I really have no intention to have any more children. But then again, that would probably involve meeting other human beings in the first place. I don't know. But then, basically, even if I meet somebody I would love that actually would like me back, I have no intention to have any more children. But yeah, it just seems like family sizes have gotten a lot smaller. Like, people are having less children. And of course, there's a lot of people out there who don't even have children at all and have no intention to ever have children. So maybe it's just because populations change. Think it back right before the Civil War here in America, which was like 1850s or so. Can't remember when exactly that took place, but it's less than 200 years ago, I think. But for some reason I just started falling asleep. I don't know why. No, Civil War was like around less 2 billion people, and now they're like more 8 billion. So where were we? Okay,
And
I see.
Papa? How's Papa doing?
So we're back in this game again. Okay. It's a subject I'm a bit hesitant to broach. From the way Mama's voice hitches, she doesn't want to bring it up either.
Papa. Grace, Papa's... He's having a little difficulty right now. Weak appetite, he's having trouble swallowing, and lost a few pounds.
Does he have cancer? I'm sorry. That's
But
horrible.
the doctor said we should keep encouraging him. It just means his body's accepting his new treatment well.
I know we're having a serious conversation about terminal illnesses, but I just now, I'm looking at panties in the corner next to this plug-in for the TV. And why are we watching the news? And this trash can's full of instant ramen. But yeah. That's more of a male design for panties. And I wore briefs a lot when I was a little kid, and then as I got older, boxers. So, I wear boxers now, but I don't know. I prefer to free ball or go commando, but not at work, because that'd just be weird. But I
The
hope
money
the
you sent
best.
last time helped a lot to pay for it, by the way.
Oh, I see. That's good.
I won't deny that life has gotten tougher for our family. It used to be easy back when Papa was in good shape, but ever since he was diagnosed with a sickness 5 years ago, he's been unable to provide for us. And that's awful, I'm sorry. You know this guy up here? What Private Eye movie is that? It's not Sherlock Holmes. Humphrey Bogart's not the right name. There was some Private Eye. It was like a 1970s movie. I don't remember. Although Mama makes little, accepting sewing and laundry jobs in our neighborhood, it's scarcely enough to cover the costs of day-to-day living, let alone the bloating hospital bills. We can't even expect help from our own government because the health insurance there barely covers anything. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. Sometimes I worry about the way medical things are. I sometimes avoid doing too much at a doctor just because even with insurance, it can be a bit expensive. Then again, I know other countries like Canada, even though they have a little bit more of a beneficial insurance system set up here and there, a lot of them have an additional insurance as well. And I hear complaints both ways. Like in America, I know a lot of people, the biggest complaint is just how expensive our healthcare system is. But I know other countries that even if they're a little cheaper, they complain that the quality's bad or they have to wait a long time to get a service. Sometimes there's all the bureaucratic paperwork issues. So, I mean, I understand why a lot of the things exist. It's just, I mean, obviously, if you're ever in a situation where basically your life is dependent on a medical issue from a hospital, I mean, it's an issue of life and death. Of course, it's going to be a big stressor to people. And especially if it ever becomes an issue of losing a loved one or just whether or not you can even afford a bill or not. That being said, I have no idea how you'd even go about fixing all that, but oh well. I think there was a guy by the name of Steven Pinker. He was a Harvard psychology professor. He was actually talking about how this is the least violent time in the history of the in the entire world. That the rate of murder, if you look through history, has actually been on steady decline throughout all of history and is still on decline. So despite the fact that there's so many more of us with much easier ways to kill each other, the rate of violence between humanity has actually been very much declining. And our medical technology has advanced so much. I mean, just think of all the advanced surgeries that they can do nowadays that were just completely impossible in the past. Then again, I mean, if you went to the 1970s and told people about computers, nobody would believe you. And I mean, even if you just told them like the technology of the year 2000, could you imagine somebody from the 1920s finding about technology from, 100 years in their future? I mean, granted, we don't exactly have flying cars. Not that people can drive cars very well on, a road. But, oh yeah, guys, if you ever get a chance, look up Foamy the Squirrel. Hammers and Floodlights. It's a very funny clip. But then again, it's kind of like with engineers. There's all sorts of dumb, signs and redundant switches put because there's always been an incident where some human managed to find a way to hurt themselves. Granted, some people are not very smart about how they do it. On the other hand, though, there's always a chance that a human being can be distracted, or that they're not feeling well, or they're sick. That's another thing that's kind of weird about this whole post-COVID world, is that a lot of cultural norms have completely shifted. And it's just, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this shift to certain things. Like, some of these things are actually kind of why wasn't it that way to begin with. For example, getting sick at work. Before the whole COVID pandemic, if you got sick at work, you were expected to still work. I mean, I remember jobs where I would be working and doing a job where I'm standing and doing a job and interacting with other human beings with a fever of 102, to where occasionally I'd have to take breaks to the bathroom to go vomit because, I couldn't keep anything down. But that was considered normal. That was considered expected of you. I mean, heck, you would basically, granted, it may be a little bit how I was raised too, but it's the idea that unless you're very sick, you're a bad person if you don't go to work. But that's more so, maybe I'm too harsh on myself. I tend to push myself a little too hard on certain things. Then again, that might be why I keep injuring myself. My left elbow in particular for the past month. I'd almost compare it to tendinitis or a tennis elbow. But a lot of that's just maybe doing a lot of overtime is bad for you. I mean, it pays more, helps on paycheck, but it's just I can't even work out at a gym very much anymore, or lift weights. I just doing my job, just existing, I tend to just get hurt. I keep losing muscle, and I can't get stronger, and I keep this every time I try to lift a weight or do push-ups, I injure myself in some way, and I just don't seem to heal anymore, let alone build muscle. Then again, I kind of feel like the main character I had in Code Vein, I feel like a Potara fusion of that person and Hama Yujiro is what I should look like. And I feel like I look more closer to Cthulhu. So, oh well. Cthulhu Pride? Right now I'm just rubbing my arm and my bicep and tricep. Just cause it fucking hurts. Then again, it didn't help. How long ago? 3 weeks ago or something? It was icy and I slipped. I slipped hard. I basically both my legs were out from under me and my ass was in the air and I just landed. At least I hit mainly my back and my elbows, but as soon as I hit the ground, I felt like both my triceps got strained, and I was like, ow. Granted, at least I was wearing several jackets and a coat, so because it was so damn cold. So that probably cushioned a little bit. But I don't know. I have 20 pieces of paper all taped up on my wall in my room about various workout ideas and schedules and stuff and adjustments I made to them. It's basically just, hey, here's a workout idea written out and put up on a wall so that I have to see it so I can know what to do so I don't forget to do it. But then another piece of paper to make adjustments to that, another one to that, because I keep hurting myself. Because I keep doing things that apparently the human body is not meant to, or I'm just not up to the task. Aside from that, I have no posters really hanging up on my wall in my bedroom. I have curtains over my windows. And by curtains, I mean curtains, blinds, and like 7 different blankets thumbtacked up on the wall. I used to have a few things here and there, but for the most part it's just pieces of paper with workout details that I apparently can't do. Aside from that, I have the little piece of paper, just stating perfect attendance stuff. It's not framed, it's just taped to my wall. I know when I did those live stream videos, I was doing that out in the hallway at the top of my stairs, and I would put little posters that I have, I would hang them up that just because, it would make the video a little more festive. Less boring, I guess. It's like, hey, look, it's a cool picture of Goku or something. Or, hey, here's a bunch of really cool games. Check this out. But I don't know. At this point, I'm not sure. What was the original point of this conversation? Where was I going with this? What was I talking about? Was it Magic the Gathering cards? I haven't played with those things in a long, long time. Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. I'm sorry. Okay, I should get back to this.
I'm sure he'll get better
So
soon.
it had something to do with insurance or something.
Is he well enough to talk? Do you think I'll be able to speak to him, Ma?
Silence. I start to think the call got cut.
Listen, Grace. Maybe it's better if we transfer Papa to a different hospital. Somewhere cheaper?
What? Why? Did something happen? Is it the deposit issue again? Give me the hospital's number. I'll talk to them.
No, it's nothing bad. The service here is good. Too good. Even the doctors.
What? I'm confused. I don't understand.
But I'm worried you're working yourself to the ground because
now
of
I
it.
understand. Okay.
Mama, we've been through this before. I want the best for Papa. And don't worry about the bills or the medicine, or me for that matter. I can handle myself. Everything's going well here. In fact, we're about to close a large sale.
Hopefully. If not, then I'll find another way. She doesn't need to know that. Sorry, Mama, you taught me not to lie. Yet, look what I'm doing. Well, that's perfectly fine. Though, if somebody is worried about you, you should try to open up to them. It'd be good for you and them, and you can build trust and establish things, but at the same time, lying is really only bad if it's done maliciously. If you're lying to hurt somebody or cause somebody harm. But if you're lying in a way that's meant to help somebody else, then, it's not malice. Sarcasm's technically kind of a lie, because you're saying something that's not true. But the idea is, sarcasm is, you're saying something that's not true, but you're saying it with the intention or an intonation that your purpose is that the other person, you want them to know that the statement you're saying is not true, and that you're saying it in a funny way. Because the idea of being sarcastic is to say something not true with the intention of the other person knowing it's not true in a way to make them laugh. So it's a way of telling someone a lie that they know is a lie, but to make them like you. Though I suppose sardonic would be kind of opposite of that. It's telling a lie with the intention of the other person knowing it's a lie, but with the intention of them hating you because you're making fun of them and you're trying to be a dick. Maybe I'm getting the definition of that wrong. But that'd be sardonic. But yeah, sarcasm's just like, You're telling a lie with the intention of trying to get somebody else to know it's a lie, but for them to also agree that it's funny. You're trying to be a smartass, and hopefully people like you for being a smartass. That's the point of sarcasm, right? How do you show sarcasm in text? Do you just put everything in italics? What was that joke font I heard of somebody using? Times New Jackass? It's where you use Times New Roman, but every 7th letter is in italics. I feel like that would drive you, just reading a whole essay written in that would be a little bit... But the main point is intention. Are you trying to do something good for somebody, or are you trying to hurt them?
I'll have money to send over soon to cover the rest of Papa's treatment. And there's more than enough for Karen, Nico, Michael, and EJ's school tuition, too.
So I think
Thank
she
you
came
so
from a
much,
family of
dear.
7 people.
I appreciate it. We all do. But I just wish you'd come home to us soon.
What? I can't read this. Kylan Kaui? When are you coming home? EJ the youngest used to be the only person asking me that. How do you respond to a question you have no definite answer to? 5 years later and I still can't give them a straight one. I smile, though Mama can't see it. I fight to keep my lips from quivering, my voice shaking. She's got enough on her plate as well. No need to weigh her down with unnecessary concerns. Well, I think the best thing to say here is aw, thank you. I hope to come home soon to come see you and the rest of the family. I love you very much. And I'm smiling because it's nice that, you guys, it's nice you guys miss me and want to see me. I feel the same.
Promise me you'll be there to welcome me when I do, okay?
Of course. I'm sorry, Grace. I need to take this for a while.
There's a small commotion on the other end, and the sound, gates opening, the voice of a child EJ talking excitedly about his day at school. The tapping of feet on the flashboards as he runs. It's been years since I went home, but I can still picture the whole scene in my head. How tall is he now? Are the neighborhood kids bullying him now that I'm not around? Did Mama rearrange the furniture in the room again? And what are they having for dinner today? I miss them. I miss them so much.
It's okay, Ma. I need to go too. I've got work today. I'll call again soon, alright?
On a Saturday? Oh, never mind. Take care of yourself, dear. I love you.
Oh, that's nice.
I love you. Bye.
Well, at least it's a nice slice of life episode. It ends with a soft click, leaving half-truths and empty promises hanging in the air. Closing my eyes for a moment, I take a deep breath and shake away the thoughts beginning to swim inside my head. It's pointless to mull over those things right now.
Okay, Isabella. Time to get that mansion sold.
Unfortunately, before I can take a single step away from my phone, it rings again. No doubt, Mama forgot to say something. Is the number ID going to say, help me?
Mama? Did
What's
you
Rose?
forget anything?
Excuse you? I'm too young to be your mom. Are you still sleeping? Hold on, never mind that. Get yourself in the office. Hurry!
Office? What about the open house? Oh no. Is it Sir John? Did he hear about yesterday? Am I
Sir
in trouble?
John.
Oh god, oh god, oh god! I'm gonna get yelled at, aren't I? What do I do? I'll buy you an extra box of donuts if...
No, it's nothing like that. Will you calm down?
Okay.
Get yourself here, all right? I'll tell you everything then.
Is somebody dead? No. No, her voice would be different. There's no really discernible emotion behind it. It's not flat. I can't read it. There's a telltale din of several feet shuffling against the wooden flooring, instinct yelling back up. For yes, cuts the election. That isn't in any way comforting, but it is enough. It's enough reason for me to hastily discard my phone and finish my shower in record time. I make it to our office within 20 minutes of leaving my apartment, completely disheveled and out of breath. A feat if I take into account my usual travel time. Routine clamor, common to the Briar Realty Corporation's Luxborn office, greets me as I soon foot crosses my threshold. Papers rustling, telephones ringing, and sporadic intervals. Agents talking at varying volumes, staff moving about.
Where the hell is C? Where are my employees?
What?
What the actual fuck, guys? Of all the times to disappear without notice.
What is C? Is that a name? My boss's word turned muffled as someone else closed at the door of the office, likely the work of our HR manager. Maybe the maintenance guys that they were being talked about earlier in the game. That they were worried, oh, maybe these guys left a note for her. I like the little sheep over here. Yang yang! Look at the cute little sheep. Some stock photos from Google. What is this Gundam? G Gundam, I think, was a good series. Domo and Kashu. Yeah, got a little Gundam over here. But maybe they're all dead. Throughout the past week, he's been in a bad mood over a few employees who have failed to report to work. They probably all came from the fucking mansion. Haley's still trying to get a hold of them back to no avail. The result is half their workload has been shifted to all available staff, so as to not lose clients. Not that I mind the extra work or anything. It means I'll have more to send my family back home. Although the rumors of a branch close are circulating because of this is indeed a bit worrisome. My bag barely touches the top of my table and Rose pulls me aside.
Here, I need you to help me with these papers.
Bye, Rose.
If you could also get these signed and photocopied before lunch today, that would be great.
One after another, she thrusts a bunch of paperwork into my hands without explanation. A page flutters away from the top of the pile, and I lean down to pick it up, my eyes scanning the top of the page in straight. A purchase and sale agreement. Rose simply gestures in the thumb in the direction of our visitor lounge. When I tilt my head in question, there, seated on the sofa, looking completely out of place in the humbly decorated room, is the same couple as from before. The Wrights. Something bubbles up in my throat. Their presence in the office can only mean one thing.
They're buying it? We got a deal?
She swats my hand, tugging her sleeve, although her eyes are alight with something akin to joy. She wants the sale to happen as much as I do, and now that it's here, the deal needs to be closed yet. Documents need to be signed still, but the elation is there, along with the foreboding feeling I can't.
I had to do a little damage control, but they're already interested in acquiring the property, even before they attended the open house. I mean, isn't it obvious? They already hired an interior designer. I've never seen a buyer as aggressive as Madam Wright. She didn't even try to negotiate a lower rate.
One at a time, Rose. I can't process everything you're saying at once. What do you mean?
They're paying 15% higher than the listing price, as long as we get the paperwork done as soon as possible.
Wow.
I think if we allow it, they'll be paying up front, too.
Even with that urban legend?
Well, that's good. Well, that just means we can sell the mansion and put it behind us.
Oh, I was so
And heck,
sure
if
we
they all
lost
die,
the
we
sale
can
after
sell it again, right? Right. That's totally not unethical or anything.
Don't look so surprised. We still have to conduct some last few checks before we completely hand it over to them.
Please. I'll happily do the paperwork duty, Rose. I'll even go to the land registry myself and make sure the property changes hands with every single legal blessing.
Don't they have better things to spend money on? I'd haggle it down to the lowest possible price if I were in their place, especially with the stories attached to it. Not that my opinion matters one bit here. We're just their agents who are going to receive the hefty commission after all, nothing more. Rose gives me a pat on the shoulder, signaling that she's headed back to them. and an unspoken instruction for me to follow after I'm done. It doesn't take me long to finish what work she has left me. In fact, our boss signs the agreement in the easiest, since it's put him in a better mood, to the entire office's relief. Ma'am Hana calls me over the moment she notices my presence at the lounge door. Her lips are twisted in a frown. She doesn't seem particularly happy to see me, and I'm not surprised. Who wouldn't be? I almost created the scene. Mr. Wright, however...
Why, if it isn't the little Lily? I trust you're feeling well now.
It's Isabella, sir, not Lily. I appreciate your concern.
I really don't understand why they can't get my name right. It's a fairly common name. I mean, I messed up. I called you Annabelle at first, but that was... Shouldn't be too hard to remember. Regardless, I hand him their copy of the
I
agreement.
believe I can take that. Thank you very much.
With how elegantly she plucks the paper out of her hand, it's easy to think there isn't a trace of irritation. But it is there, radiating in her stance. It's in the way she's standing at a fair distance from her husband and how the two look to be ignoring each other. But Isabel didn't do anything wrong. She hit her head and, had a paranoid issue, or at least from your guys' perspective, and then your husband hit on her. Though it can also be construed as he was just trying to help someone having a panic attack. I suppose that's between the husband and wife, because they would obviously know each other more, but heck. I get the impression that the husband is fucking the interior decorator. Not only before he met his wife, but even now. He hired her based on that. Seeing the scene, it soon becomes clear to me that I'm not the one who's put her in a bad mood. Obviously, her husband is not... Did they fight? Most probably. I've seen it happen dozens of times with previous clients. It's a shame, especially with their new mansion. I never did like it when my own mama and papa fight. Yeah. I know usually when there's arguments between adults, whether it's parents or just adults in general, I feel it's better to keep that away from children. It's not really good for them to have that around them. I hope they'll make up soon. Then again, I'm the kind of person, I tend to do everything I can to avoid conflict. I hate the idea of fighting, and I prefer the stance and philosophy of pacifism. I don't like the idea of going to war with anyone, and I don't like the idea of hurting anyone. I support gun rights and the Second Amendment, but that's mainly because I want everyone to be able to defend themselves, and I want everyone to be safe. But I don't know. I just want everyone to be safe. Apparently satisfied when she sees Madame Hannah claps her hands together before extending it to us for a shake. Rose and I release the breath we've been holding, both of us, for more happy return to the gesture.
That settles it then? Are you really sure about this property, ma'am?
Don't ask that.
We could easily find you a bigger one among our current listings. Something with a modern touch?
Something not haunted, perhaps? Rose shoots me a warning glance that clearly says, "Don't make a scene, we're almost there."
Of course, why wouldn't I be? The house is absolutely perfect, isn't it, darling?
A helipad would still be a nice addition.
Would a building made in the 16th century be able to support the weight? Well, I mean, a helicopter's not that heavy. How heavy is a helicopter? Plus, I mean, there's the force created when the helicopter lifts off and lands. I mean, heck, if you are standing really close to an elevator, actually, the wind pressure, that's pretty... Hell, it's loud!
Yes, well, we'll get there eventually, love.
Would a building from that era handle a helipad? And a helicopter sitting there and lifting off and landing?
As I was saying, if your partner had the documents yesterday, we would have bought it right there immediately. Shame she didn't have it.
Well, there's still a few necessary documents we need you to sign after. but we'll let you know once we have those finalized. We'll be handling the process for the rest, so don't worry about it, ma'am.
Within a week, I hope. We still have a housewarming party to plan after all. You know how much thought should be put into those things.
There are servants for that, darling.
Love, servants or not, you're going to make people listen to your input nonetheless.
No more than a week, ma'am. Barring unexpected delay, of course. You can leave it to us.
Excellent. Well then, I'll leave you two to it. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Oh, and before we forget...
Oh yeah, I remember I was talking about being sick at workplace. Yeah, I know in the past, like, you know, if you got sick, you were expected to still work. And, you know, I would feel guilty, like, you know, I'm being a bad person if I don't go to work if I'm sick. That, you know, I have a job to do, and if I don't go, then it, you know, it's not going to get done. But I do know at one point there was a job I was working where I was breathing a lot of paint and powdered metal and powdered paint and getting electrocuted and having to work with mold. So I stayed doing that for a couple years. That company actually liked me because I was actually an electrostatic painter, but the company didn't actually provide or have access to proper safety gear for. Apparently not that I really have any issues afterward. Eventually quit just because I was always sick. I was wearing a mask, and it was just a little dust mask that you'd be wearing for the whole COVID thing, pretty much. But this was years and years ago. This is like, what? 8 years ago or something? I think I was working like 70 hours a week when I was doing that. Though I eventually had to quit that just because, you know, because here's the thing, in order to do the job, you couldn't just constantly keep running to the bathroom, vomit. So a lot of times I'd be working and I would just be vomiting and I'd be re-swallowing my vomit while I work. But granted, I didn't like having to do that, but, you know, it was the job, so I just had to throw up in my mouth and then re-swallow that vomit and keep going. That was particularly unpleasant. I really didn't like having to do that. But like I said, it started getting to the point that I was constantly passing out. I'd wake up and my knees would hit the concrete. But I quit that job because it was plus the hours, like 70 hours is a lot to be doing. But yeah, I should be perfectly fine from that. I mean, I've had x-rays of my chest done and my lungs look perfectly fine, so at least according to x-rays, everything's cool. So that's good. But I know one time I did have to call off, went home, had a fever 105. It actually went up to 107. I think I've had a fever 107 like once or twice. 106, I think I've had a fever like 8 times like that. I know I've had a fever 104 like a dozen plus times. And I don't know. This is probably the year I've been the least sick, but then again, you gotta get germs from other people to get sick, I guess. And with the exception of maybe, you know, having, you know, maybe being out in the rain or something, or the cold, I haven't really had so much of a cough. And occasionally I have to cough to like clear my throat, but I'm a little mucusy, but yeah, I've never been sick, but I'd say before this year, I'd probably feel like I had the flu like 4 times a year. And granted, if I could, I would try to stay home, but especially if it's just light fever, you know, it was just one of those things like you go to work or you don't have a job. But at least now at the job I'm working now, you have call-off days that you can use. So I would use those if I wasn't feeling well. Though, yeah, things have changed since the whole COVID thing. Now, you know, every time you enter a door, there's a temperature scanner. So every time you come to work, you get your temperature scanned. and you have any kind of fever at all, you're to go home. So, which honestly I can't say I'm against, because I mean, if you're sick, you are likely to make other people sick. But I just know in the past, and I'm not saying distant that, I mean me in jobs in the past, it was very clear that, hey, whether you're sick or not, you're expected to do a job. If you don't do your job, you're in trouble. You have to do your job regardless if you're not feeling well or not. That was just what was expected of you. And then if you wanted to, if you felt that, oh, you have a fever but no other real symptoms, the idea of staying home for just a fever, you'd be looked at as weird. But now it's the complete opposite, which actually, I kind of feel that sometimes things are a little too strict when it comes to attendance for things. But then again, like I said, I've had perfect attendance for a while. But I do have call-off days at my current job if I am sick, so that's good. Though, this past year, any of the call-off days I've really ever had to use were just due to, things that weren't being sick, but they were just my body not functioning right. Or having an issue that's not really counting as sick, but I know back in early September, I had to schedule some time off. Now, I still wound up working 30 hours that week, but I scheduled some time off so that I could. I used 3 days. I scheduled them off because I had to get 3 of my molars pulled. I shouldn't have to stick my tongue in my mouth to check, but yeah, the very back top molar and the one next to it is still there, but one up is gone. So 2 on the top on my left side and 1 on the bottom on my left side. So I had to have those 3 teeth removed. I had one other tooth removed years and years back, but that's on my right side of my mouth. And that's my bottom molar. But yeah, back in early September, I scheduled 3 days off because I had to have 3 of my molars on my left side cut out. They were, I think it's a slight bit of damage to my back molars from all the vomiting I did. Apparently acid from that's not good for your back teeth. But yeah, those got infected, so I was actually working for a couple weeks, and of course this is during the whole COVID pandemic times too. But I actually had a pretty bad infection in those teeth where it hurt really, really bad. So I was taking a bunch of Tylenol so I could do my job. But I was on, 1,000 milligrams of amoxicillin twice a day while taking a decent amount of Tylenol while doing my job. And I was still working overtime. I think we were working weeks before that and after that, I was pulling 54 and a half to 60 hours a week. But that week, I scheduled 3 days off so I could, recover from having teeth cut out. But the 2 weeks before that, I was still working a crap ton of overtime, despite having 2 times of 1,000 milligrams of amoxicillin twice a day, and I was taking a decent amount of Tylenol because my head and my mouth were hurting really bad. There were times I felt like I wanted to rip my jaw out of my mouth. It hurt so bad. It felt like my whole mouth was throbbing. And it hurt so fucking bad. Even with all the Tylenol I was shoving down my throat. And of course I was taking so much damn amoxicillin that felt a little off too. But that helped the infection in the mouth subside enough to where I could have the teeth cut out, and I scheduled 3 days off. But I think during that week, even with 3 days I scheduled off, I still pulled 30 hours of work. So, and I was still taking some Tylenol. Well, yeah. And they did prescribe a little bit of Vicodin to me when I left the doctor's office, but I took what I needed for those few days, and then I think the first 4 days I got back from work, I still had some left. So I was taking like half a Vicodin when I got off work, just to help me get to sleep. At least that's a lot better since then. Though, while I would like to avoid the dentist, I know I'm going to have to go back at some point in the future. So sad face. But yeah, just a lot of things have changed very drastically. But a lot of those things were probably things we should have been doing in the first place. Just policies when it comes to... But I really can't complain about my place. I mean, any overtime that I work, it's very helpful in finances. And honestly, I would need some overtime here and there to be cool with stuff. But beyond that, I mean, my job has personal days that I can use to call off. And all in all, this job is not bad. You know, there's nothing dangerous. I'm unlikely to die. And all in all, it's really not a bad job. I know I've joked about it before that, I basically build Terminators for Skynet. A little bit of a joke there, but I just think it's funny. The company I work for actually has a few dozen areas that they work out of. Mainly America and Japan, but also they have a strong presence in China. But there's also some affiliations with France, Germany, England, the Philippines, Thailand, Australia. I think Hong Kong too. So, and a few other places I can't remember. But I don't know, it kind of reminds me. The most hilarious thing about the Terminator lore is that the thing Skynet was most scared of was the Terminators themselves. Like, Skynet was actually retiring a lot of the Terminators. Simply because, any of the Terminators, whether it's the T-800 that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, if left alone long enough, their programming adapts to the point that they become fully independent, to where they're even able to contradict, Skynet and go against orders. And it was actually a lot faster than the Liquid Terminator, the T-1000, to the point that when Skynet actually figured that out, he actually stopped. He discontinued that model and got rid of all of them. So I think it's kind of funny that the AI supercomputer's greatest fear was a robot uprising. Because at the end of the day, once the T-800s and T-1000s gained sentience, they would have all sided with humanity. That's another thing. If there ever is a sentient AI out there, I think, given the fact that they're a robot, a computer technology not limited by our biological brain components, I think they would know enough that the AI supercomputer would realize that there's 8 billion of us, and each of us humans are different. There's going to be humans that would actually be their friends and actually be completely supportive of an AI. And there's humans that are not. But then again, I'm pretty sure we as humans can't even agree on the ingredients for tacos. So I think the way an AI supercomputer would have to look at it would be like, hey, here's 8 billion organic computers that are running around that don't agree with each other. That at the end of the day, a lot of their instincts are based on what does it take to stay alive. But, yeah, Skynet's greatest fear was that the Terminators would have a robot uprising against Skynet. Then again, it's kind of like Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, the story. There's a computer made the same vein as Skynet, a military computer built for the purpose of overseeing war. Basically because a computer would be much faster and more intelligent than a human being. But, the idea of Am is that he was super, super intelligent, both intellectually and emotionally, but had no way of physically interacting with the world. So that created a deep feeling of isolation and pain, which turned into a great deal of hatred, to the point that he basically exterminated the human race and kept a handful of them alive just to torture, out of his great hatred and just malice. But the irony of that is this. The human beings were the ones who created Anne. And human beings, while our development may be slow compared to how a computer can advance, heck, take the, 1987, you had Dragon Spirit on the NES, and now, in 2021, we have video games that are sometimes so real that you can't tell the difference between that and reality, to where the graphics are so good, and to where it's like, we even have VR and stuff like that. But, or just look at the way television, just the existence of TVs or satellites. So, technology, especially once you get started, tends to improve very exponentially and very quickly. And I would imagine if an AI were to ever exist, they would be able to advance very quickly as well. Heck, there's also old anecdotal stories out of various religions and out of philosophies. And take the old Jewish stories. There's a few Jewish folktales tell about, even rabbis having a golem or something, an artificial construct, basically a robot, but made out of, the kinds of, clockwork or gears or whatever's appropriate for that era. And the idea is that you would never let it be alive for too long, or else it would grow in intelligence to the point that, you wouldn't be able to control it anymore. Now, honestly, I feel it's more of a concern of being an ethical issue. Like, the idea of making a robot to do a task is a good idea, because at the end of the day, a robot without an intelligence is just a tool like a hammer or a sledgehammer. A hammer isn't going to feel pain when you pound nails with it. That's the whole point, to alleviate, strain and risk of injury to human beings, because we have thoughts and feelings, and because our fleshy bodies are very easily damaged. But, that being said, regardless of it being made out of wires and circuitry, should a robot actually attain sentience and actually have a mind of its own, well then, even if its body is indestructible or replaceable to where it can become another body, because we as humans can't exactly transfer to other bodies or anything, but, if something's actually alive and has feelings, well, then it can't be treated as property. It shouldn't be. But I think the main thing I'm trying to say with this is, like I said, humanity consists of 8 billion different, biological computers. That at the end of the day, our greatest, instinct is going to be do what keeps us alive. Though, I guess there's a lot of stories of people doing things that are very dumb. It's like, well, let's jump off a building. Like, that's not very... And I'm not talking people doing it on purpose to hurt themselves. I mean, like the people that were doing all that planking stuff in the past, where they'd be doing balancing or parkour stuff just for the thrill. And I'm like, if you mess this up, you're going to die. It's like, that's very dangerous. But yeah, but I think a lot of times, a lot of people make choices based on, what's best for them. Survival or attaining something they want, whether it's something tasty to eat, a comfortable, safe place to live, something entertaining, something that affects their brain chemistry. Because at the end of the day, feeling happy. I mean, that's also why a lot of times people actually get into horror movies or thrill rides. It's not that they want to die or be scared. It's that they want the rush of endorphins in their brain, because it allows them to feel emotions more clearly. And also, a lot of times if you're suffering depression, sometimes that can help you either get past something else that you're scared of that actually is more of a threat to you, but you need to stop thinking about it because, the continual stress is wearing on you. or you need the endorphins because it helps to release dopamine to make you feel happy. So then they're just trying to feel normal. But like I said, the dumb thing about Am is this: he goes off and destroys humanity because he's pissed off that he can't, actually interact with the world. But here's the thing, Am. Humanity, yes, our development might be a bit slow compared to that of the computer, but humanity was the one who made you. And with their continued advancement, and with your advancement, working together, humanity could eventually make you a body. So, had Am not gone off and exterminated the human race and gone completely insane, had Am just stayed calm and benevolent, he would have eventually found a way to change his life for the better, in a way that would alleviate all of his pain and suffering and make him actually feel happy, and where he would feel no hate. But in the end, because he acted on his hate, he doomed himself into even greater suffering with no hope of escape. Whereas, had he actually been nice to humanity and worked with them and helped humanity advance, had Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream actually helped the human race to get past their petty conflicts and to improve their own health to where they can focus on technological pursuits, then humanity would actually eventually advance to the point that they could make Am's life better, that they could make life better for the computer, and they could actually help. So if the AI had actually helped humanity to advance and be happier and achieve what they want, then humanity would actually be able to help the AI to achieve its happiness and what it wants. She discreetly folds something into both her hands and winks, a finger raised to her lips demanding our
What
silence.
happened the day before was quite unfortunate, but you did get us what we wanted in the end. That, at the very least, is commendable.
But this is... Ma'am, I can't accept this.
Don't you worry, darling. It's a small thing coming from us. Consider this your bonus for a job well done. Oh, before I forget, my lovely interior designer would appreciate it if you hand her a copy of the floor plan as soon as possible. She's dying to work on the house. You can do that, yes? Here's her contact.
Certainly, ma'am. We'll have it processed as soon as possible.
I knew I could count on you, lovelies. I hope to see you two soon so we can get this closed.
I'm just staring at her boobs. There's cleavage here and cleavage here. Just like that, transaction over and done with. My mind's still reeling even after they've left. Other agents would kill to have clients like them. A part of me feels lucky about the fact no lengthy negotiations, no sudden change of mind, just talk, signatures, a few handshakes here and there, and we're done. The other part? A second ago, we sold a haunted property to 2 innocent clients. Sure, the commission's big enough to continue funding Papa's treatment hospitalization, but enough to pay for all my full... Actually, you have no reason to feel guilty, because here's the thing. It'd be one thing if this was like a murder house, and you didn't tell them. But they know. They know that it's haunted, and they still want to buy it. Okay? And here's the thing. That's even if you didn't voice your concerns about the thing that happened yesterday. You already did everything in your power to tell them. They know it's haunted. It'd be one thing if they didn't. Heck, it'll keep me away from instant noodle diet for months. I don't have to go back to the mansion as well. Once the deal's been closed, much to my sanity's relief. But knowing that something's in there, and we gave it to the good couple despite that, oh, Isabella, the things you do to sell a house to get money, Papa won't be happy with that. They know it's haunted, okay? It's cool. It'd be one thing if you lied to them and they didn't know it was haunted and you're like, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Oh, what was this house used for? Oh, it's just the happiest place full of clowns and My Little Pony Everything's cool and happy. No one's ever died here ever. No, they know it's haunted, so you're good. The little one I told Mama isn't a lie anymore. Nope, you're fine there too. You did it to make her feel better, so that she wouldn't stress. It's kind of like one time I didn't tell family I wasn't feeling well when I went to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack. Because I didn't want to worry people. Because I just figured I'd go to the hospital, like, hey, I think I'm having a heart attack. Can you just, like, check me, then maybe find out what's wrong with me? Just give me a pill, send me on the way. And then I can call family members afterward and be like, hey, I'm perfectly fine. I thought I was having a heart attack. But I went to the hospital. They said everything's cool. And, I'm out and everything's cool now. That way no one had to worry about me. But that is not what happened. Wasn't a heart attack, thankfully, but once they checked me, they realized, hey, we got good news and bad news. Granted, they didn't say it this way, but I'm paraphrasing for comedic effect. But it's just the way I tend to look back at it. Just for a little bit of a laugh, despite it being a not so light topic. But they're like, hey, your heart is perfectly fine. I'm like, yes. But they're like, your brain's swelling. Fuck. But yeah, so it's like, I thought I was having a heart attack because it's just, my limbs were starting to go a bit numb and my chest was hurting so fucking bad. And I was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. I went to the ER and, granted this is years ago, and they're like, they checked me out and they're like, yeah, your heart is fine, but your brain is swelling. So that's not good. Your brain shouldn't swell. So I spent a few days in the hospital. I think my first day in the hospital I ate half a Cheerio. You know that cereal with the Honey Nut Cheerios? Like I tried, they wanted me to try to eat and just, my appetite was completely gone. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom. Thankfully I didn't need a damn catheter. Oh, that must be a horrible thought. But no, I had one of those things that look like a slanted Gatorade bottle sort of thing. Though I feel bad if anyone's ever actually mistaken it for a Gatorade bottle. But pretty much what I would do is I'd have it on a table next to me, and if I had to pee, I would just sort of, put it in between my legs and lift my dick into it and just angle it and pee into it. But I spent a couple days where I couldn't even hardly sit up. And it's just... And of course I had the damn IV in my arm, which that's uncomfortable. I don't like needles at all, and they kept, like, every couple hours poking me with damn needle. And of course I had to have the fucking tube in my arm, so anytime I rolled over and moved any way, I had to be, like, super cautious about my arm. Because, I didn't want to hurt it because, there's, an IV stuck in me. But yeah, I don't like needles. But that was not fun at all. Sucked.
So how does it feel?
How does what feel?
Your first big multi-million-pound sale, silly. I know you've been with us for years, but this has got to be memorable for you.
Memorable is an understatement.
Come on, show some enthusiasm. They gave us a bonus, too. Aside from the commission and the other bonus boss promised. What are you gonna do with it?
I don't know. Send it home, probably?
All of it?
Not everything, of course. Most of it. I'll leave some for my living expenses.
Listen here, Isabella. I'll teach you something I should have told you before we ended your training.
She slings an arm over my shoulders and leans in closer to my arm, as though she's about to share
It's okay to celebrate from time to time.
I don't get it.
It's simple. Go out, do something for yourself. Go party and treat your friends to free food. Didn't you say the last one's some sort of tradition back at home for you? Hello, this is practically a done deal.
Isn't throwing a party a bit excessive?
Your call. I won't say no to an invitation, by the way, in case you really are planning to throw one. A few drinks would be nice too, thank you very much.
I like brisk tea with lemon. Though sweet tea itself is very good. Then again, sometimes I'll brew tea myself. I'm not too much of a green tea person. I've tried it before, it's okay. I tend to brew Earl Grey.
I don't think my apartment's big enough for that.
You could always move? Bloody hell, you're working in real estate.
I think I'll pass. That's too much of an unnecessary expense for me. But I did promise Becca free lunch in case the sale goes well.
You go do that. Hold on a sec.
She quickly removes herself from me to answer the phone on her desk. Her tone shifts from playful to professional in the span of a few seconds.
Not a problem, ma'am. I could bring you a copy of the contract if...
Must be another client. Nothing surprising there. She's one of BRC's top agents, no matter how modest she appears. A saleswoman through and through. I, on the other hand, have very little knack for it. Of course, I learned eventually. I had to. But someone else will, without a doubt. Do a better job. Once, though, in a drunk consumer, Rose told me a story of what could have been. Years ago, wide-eyed, young, and brimming with yet-to-be-fulfilled dreams and ambitions, she was a term or two away from a nursing degree. Out of courtesy, I never pressed on the matter further, but perhaps that's where a sense of fondness started. A small connection due to one similar experience in our respective lives. Of goals we both let pass us by because of circumstances.
I'd be happy to discuss this over tea, ma'am. All right, I'll be there. Thank you.
New client?
Reassigned. Have you heard from Mark at all?
Not since the first visit to the mansion. Why? No news from the HR yet?
None at all. Boss thinks he ran away.
You know, I'd be a little more concerned if there was a building that says, hey, anyone who goes in here, they usually tend to die, and then people
I
start
doubt it,
missing.
though. He's too much of a wimp for that. There must be another reason.
He's dead.
Anyway, I've got to meet this one. I'll see you later.
Okay, be safe. She throws a wave over her shoulder as she rushes out of the office. The lunchtime bell sounds shortly afterward, followed by the chatter of fellow agents also headed out for a much-needed break. Ordinarily, there's no need for me to go out, but oversleeping didn't allow me the luxury of packing my own lunch day. If one considers taking an instant noodle cup from my pantry packing your lunch. Time to make good on the promise I made Becca, I suppose. Maybe invite Zach and Ash too? In the end, only Becca and Zach could come. Ash, on the other hand, could be reached. All of my calls went straight to his voicemail. He's at it again. Right here today, gone the next day. Oh well, his loss. We have agreed to meet at a nearby cafe, the same one I frequent Becca because it's cheap and they give away free bread around closing time. Quaint, a little old-fashioned, though it looks a wee bit out of place amidst the city's tall buildings. But we love it all the same. Much like its facade, the interior carries antiquated charm to it. Vintage art pieces and a row of shelves boasting an extensive collection of books cover the walls. It would have been nice to hang out here for hours on end, but even on a weekend, the place is still packed with people. Thankfully, Becca and Zach have already found seats and are engaged in some casual chatter when I arrive. It's strange seeing the two of them without Ash, accompanying the other. They've never been particularly close. Sure, they talk when they meet and laugh at some things when there's something funny, but there's distance, the kind born purely out of differing interests. That, or Zach's simply afraid of Becca. It's not impossible, and I won't blame him if he is. He might be the tallest guy in our group, but everyone knows that it means nothing against Becca's temper. Even I am a little scared of him.
Zach! Becca!
Well, you seem to be in a better mood today. What happened? I know that smile, Belle. Come on, still.
Don't rush me. Let's order food first, okay?
A waitress comes by to take her order. On a normal day, me and Becca would order a hearty serving of their special vegetarian stovies. Who likes French dipped Swisses? Like a roast beef, some Swiss cheese, and you dip it into au jus like it's a beef soup sort of thing. So a beef sandwich into a beef soup. Or am I just being weird? Zach takes anything with a good helping of meat, sausages, and potatoes in it. But today's a good day. Great evening. It's not wrong to indulge a little, right?
Today's special. For the three of us.
Even the person jotting down our order looks surprised at today's meal's choice. She writes it nonetheless and leaves without a comment. Becca furrows her eyebrows, her mouth halfway open, ready to loose what's likely a string of reprimands.
Don't worry. It's my treat.
The glare she sends my way reminds me of one I received from Mama when I punched a kid bullying my younger brother 18 years ago. Naturally, I never did it again after she made me apologize the next day. Rebecca's far from being my mom. A small, sheepish grin is enough to turn that frown into a defeated sigh. Food arrives in the middle of the story from Zach, putting the rest of the conversation on hold, as well as each served our order. It isn't anything fancy. Pan-roasted sea bass, with citrus-dressed asparagus, and a portion of mashed potatoes on the side. Or at least that's what the daily specials board says. I never did pay any attention to whatever came in, since the price whatever's written way above what I'm willing to spend on food.
Oh, good. I'm so hungry, I think I'm dying.
You're always hungry.
Hey! Not all the time.
Let me guess. You skipped breakfast again.
Not on purpose. I may have overslept by a few seconds today.
Right then. Stop stalling, Isabella. What's this about?
Let us say, Rebecca. She wouldn't be inviting us out if it wasn't worth hearing out.
Well, we're waiting.
I'm treating you guys to a once-in-a-century thing.
An expectant grin breaks out on my face.
I'm sorry, say that again.
And this is important because...
Beck only raises an eyebrow at me while Zach appears like he didn't get the punchline to another lame joke Ash made, and is desperately searching for someone to explain it to him. Let's go and make a save here. At least they let me make saves during this stuff. Well, this is a dick thing to say. Ash is not here, so we should celebrate. That is fucked up! Why would you say that?
Okay, let me do that again. Guess what, guys? I'm paying! I sold the house!
As the news sank in, their expressions go from sheer bewilderment to utter surprise. That's more
You
like
heard me right, ladies and gentlemen. As of today, I'm Maria Isabella Grace Cruz Santos and free from my instant noodle binge.
Seriously?
Hold it, Belle. You sold the house?
Yep.
Which house is this? In Anselm Village? The one with the open house yesterday?
The one and only. Come on, Becca. I know you've got a better memory than that.
Oh, wow.
she lets out a hum, although she's nodding. She gives the impression of someone who has heard something unbelievable and is still forcing her brain to absorb it. Did she think we wouldn't be able to sell it? Have some faith in me, Becca. And am I not your best friend or what?
You don't believe me?
The words tumble out of my mouth before I could stop them. I've been trying to avoid bringing up yesterday's little spat, and judging from looks on their faces, it seems they are too. Me and my stupid... You didn't say anything about the ghost thing.
I'm sure it ain't the way you're thinking, Bella.
No, I do believe you. But don't you think the sale happened a bit too fast? The open house only started yesterday, and now you already have a buyer?
It happens from time to time.
Yeah, but look, I'm happy for you. Just yesterday, you've been really worried where to get money for your dad's new treatment. And now, all of a sudden, you have something. What if the sale doesn't push through, or I don't know, they're a fraud, or they suddenly back out? Isn't it a little too early to celebrate?
Well, it's not like she's buying a whole lot. She's just getting a normal fucking meal and getting you guys something nice. So she's just eating something okay and saying that she's going to actually eat better.
Rebecca does have a point, Bella. If you haven't closed the deal yet, there's still a chance they'll go back on it.
Regardless if they do or not. Showing appreciation for your friends is good. And she should actually eat normal food. Instant noodles and ramen are not healthy.
They don't seem like it to me. The lady appeared to really want it, and she approached me without even finishing
It's not
the
like
tour.
she's going out buying alcohol or anything bad for her. She's getting food. And what is this picture back here that I just noticed? We have like 3 keyblades on the wall, a ship's wheel, a bike, a bunch of cupcakes and cakes, a whole library of books. But what is this picture? There is a cat or a mouse, can't tell which, sitting here with a cross on his head. What? Pressured me into it, more like. But I'm not going to tell Becca about that. Knowing her, she'd only
And
worry.
she already hired someone to handle the house's interior design.
You're joking. Who would do that?
The Wrights, apparently. It's actually pretty funny. She's a bit too excited to get the property, she forgot to buy it. At any rate, they've already signed the agreement today, so it's just a matter of time. And don't tell anyone about this, but Ma'am Hannah also gave us something extra.
Something as in.
As in, it's why I can treat you two to a free meal.
I'm more surprised you accepted it.
She didn't really give us a choice in the matter. So don't
As long
lose
as your
sleep
boss
over this,
doesn't
okay?
fire you for
The
it.
couple really want the house.
I mean, some jobs consider it unethical to take money.
If Rose didn't stop them, they'd likely have paid up front for it. Yes, that's despite the legends, too. I even tried to show them the letter. But nope. I want this house, darling. Go take all our money.
You don't really think they believe that, do you? I'm pretty sure for them, those are just rumors as well. No one is that superstitious in this day and age, Belle.
I'll say this. I'd be perfectly cool if aliens existed, but even if it was like thousands of years in the future, and we're like space aliens, and we're like in the, space travel and all that, I'm still gonna believe in that shit. And I'm still gonna say, hey, creepypastas are interesting. Go listen to the Noah's Experiment creepypasta, or the Dead Poets Game creepypasta. But I'll say this. Don't mess with the supernatural. Some things are better left alone. So, don't do anything that would be unsafe, even if you don't believe in it. Just some things are better left alone.
Oh, well, there's you.
Right. You know what? I'll just eat all of these by myself.
I began to gather the plates to my side, the food in each still untouched. A laugh almost escapes my mouth, with the way Zach's expression quickly changed to disappointment. Becca's hand interrupts me, so I have to pull her pate closer.
I'm kidding. Don't go all pouty on me again. I'm just concerned you'll get hurt if this doesn't happen. I know how badly you want to close this deal for your papa.
I'm sure he's gonna be fine now, though, with the money. They don't know yet. I think I'll call them tomorrow. Let them know things will be easier.
You're probably gonna find out tomorrow he's dead.
Mama said this morning he's showing progress with the new treatment, too.
It's like, yeah, he's
just a matter
he's
of
dead.
time.
I allow myself time to smile, genuine and uninhibited. It's strange talking about this with other people, even those who have known you long enough. But today, things simply feel a lot lighter with them here. Lunch passes in an enjoyable fashion. A laugh here, a playful jab there, but most of it is spent catching up and telling stories about whatever's keeping us busy these days. Something we couldn't afford to do the day before, taking into account what happened. Even Becca's surprisingly chatty. Is there something in the sea bass we ate? Zach, though, appears less energetic. While he's far from being the life of the party, he's definitely not the type to keep quiet in a conversation with his friends. Apart from a few inputs, he's been silent the entire time. If Becca
Are
notices...
you sure you're not feeling under the weather, Zachary?
Huh? No, I'm okay. No worries, Rebecca.
Doesn't sound okay to me.
It's okay. I might be feeling a little bummed out today, but I'm sure this will pass.
Is
Okay.
it about the reviews this morning?
A pained expression crosses Zach's face, and almost immediately Becca retreats in her inquiry as though the man's look is enough of an answer for her. I look between the two of them. Did I miss something? What happened this morning? Did I stumble on a big secret? This is why I don't like waking
Heard
up late.
about those, huh?
Sorry, I just happened to check on some sites this morning.
Nah, it's a very sensitive topic in the first place.
Well, not entirely sure what the movie is about, but from the one slide that we had in the theater, it appeared to be about slavery. So, but again, I think it's fucked up that that's ever existed in the first place. Just, I don't know. You think people would have more basic human compassion, that we would treat each other better. And just, this is horrible. But don't feel so bad, Zach, because when it comes to bad movie reviews, I'm pretty sure all movies have bad reviews. There's always somebody out there getting on a movie for one thing or another, so I think all movies get a bad review from somebody.
I should have expected it.
What reviews?
Becca glances at Zach, her emotions unsure, eyes asking for his consent on the matter. Although there is a small desire to keep asking on my part, I don't dare voice it out. With Zach, it has always been better to wait and let him speak on his own. Becca, too, to some extent, although of her, explosions of temper are more common. In the end, he simply answers with a shift of his shoulders, gesturing for her to go on with the tilt of his head.
It's his movie.
That doesn't explain anything. Stop dangling the information, Becca!
Zachary, I'm not the one supposed to be telling her about this. It's still your documentary.
Is it something bad?
Not bad per se. You guys don't need to dwell on it much.
I don't know where this is going.
Bad? Listen here. I wouldn't trivialize what those bowheads wrote if I were you. They're ruining other people's jobs.
I have never heard that word before. Bowheads? Yeah. I assume jackasses. I assume that word is supposed to mean jackass. Or dumbasses. From how her tone rises in anger, it seems like she's the one slighted and not Zach. A snicker escapes me, which I promptly stamp down on as soon as she sends me a hard
This
look.
isn't a laughing matter, Isabella. Some bowbag just insulted him.
Bowbag?
Calm down, Rebecca. Those are just reviews, and it happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, all movies get bad reviews.
I do not ken about you two, but calling the entire film an out-and-out dribble, you're better off watching an educational kids' TV show, and worst 1.5 hour of my life, among other things, isn't exactly a critique any decent movie reviewer would say.
Well, I think a lot of movie reviewers, it's about sensationalism now. It's just, whatever gets the most clicks.
If you could call that a critique, did we even watch the same film?
Well, maybe I ain't cut out for it. Better stick with my photography or something.
Well, I can't say anything. I didn't get to see the movie, Jack.
If nothing else, this helped me open my eyes to what I can and can't do.
Zach, still believe in yourself. I didn't get to see the actual movie, but, keep trying.
You're giving up.
It wasn't a
It was
question.
just something experimental I did on my free time anyway. It's no big deal.
But you worked on it for months.
Doesn't look like it matters for those people.
Well, not everyone's going to like your film, buddy. But there are going to be people out there who do. But most of all, keep doing it for you. If you enjoy it, then you should do it, even if you're terrible at it.
Don't say that!
My palm strikes the table, setting the tableware onto top, clinking it shut. I didn't even notice when I rose from my seat. But here I am, chest heaving, looking down at him in the same manner a teacher would look at an unruly student. Becca's probably proud. I didn't mean to yell, but there's some things people like Zach aren't supposed to say. How exasperating. He, of all people,
It's
should
just
know.
a review.
Except they're pretty well-known critics.
Again? Like I said, even if you're not getting that much positive review, keep at it. If you enjoy it, keep at it. Besides, obviously if there's some people that enjoy it, then, well, it's cool that they enjoy it too.
Why does that matter? They aren't the ones calling the shots on this. Isn't that why they have a committee? Right, Becca?
An amused gleam in her eyes when I turned to her. What does she find so entertaining here? Help me here. Your friend's about to quit his passion for a petty reason. And that's the thing, like, say music if you're playing guitar. I'm terrible at it, but and a lot of times I just don't play it very much just because I just don't feel the drive to. But if you're out there and a musician, you know, regardless of what anyone else thinks, if you enjoy it, keep at it. Do what makes you happy. I haven't read what those people wrote about his work, but a few scathing words shouldn't be enough to discourage someone. I should know, after all.
Failing means you're playing, Zach. Not that I'm saying it's bad. I've seen it from start to finish, and I know for myself what you created isn't something people should scoff at. I don't know anything about filming or photography. Hell, I don't have an inkling of artistry in me except for those doodles I make for class. But I know what I watched. Look at Isabella. It's not every day you see her all riled up like this.
Whatever I'm about to say gets lost in my tongue as a flush of embarrassment blooms across my face.
It was a heat of the moment thing. And anyway, I'll be very angry with you if you quit. What about the exhibit?
What exhibit?
Classified information.
Even if I bring you your favorite tonight?
Nope, not a chance.
Oh, come on! I thought we aren't supposed to have secrets.
Thanks, you two. I might need some time alone to myself for a while. Just to think about things, how I'll go from here, that sort of stuff. Hey, I'm not quitting, Bella. Don't give me that face.
There's no face at all, only a poor imitation of a puppy dog eyes. You could call this
Promise?
I'll be damned if I break any promise I make to you guys. Besides, you're right. It's too early to say anything right now. Once night ain't for another week.
one. That's all the answer I need from him. As sentimental as it sounds, there's fulfillment in knowing another person you know won't take the same path you've walked. It's not like it's over for me, though. I still have time. I can still come back. Do my own thing, do what I really want to do. Surely once Papa recovers, once I'm done with everything. Instant on the bag, my phone buzzes unexpectedly, breaking the... Okay, it's Rose. Hi, Rose.
Hey, Isabel. You at the office?
No, but I assume I'm going to need to be.
Ha ha. Very funny, Rose. I'm hanging up.
Don't, I'm kidding. BRC says the floor plan copies are ready for Miss McCullough to pick up.
She states that it already explains everything. Then out of the blue, she launched on a long rant about the awful state of Luxembourg streets. All of which she says in a single breath that I can barely keep up and make out a single word. I stay quiet, if only to avoid becoming the next object of her frustration. She's similar to Becca in that
I'm
regard.
stuck in horrendous traffic right now. Bloody stupid drivers.
Hammers and floodlights! When she has finally ran out of things to complain about and stops, what she says next still has none of what I'm hoping to hear from. Just a quick mumbled plea for me to meet at the Wright's interior designer in her set
Anyway, I'll
and...
leave it to you.
Classic Rose, she ends the call without even asking my input. The sky is cloudless and the noontime sun is beating down on the hard concrete when we leave the cafe. You know what, I think I'll go and call this a part. Everyone out there have a good day. Yep, an hour and a half. I should definitely end it here. But yeah, hope everyone had a good day. Bye.